you don't do a lot of business in the U.S., but you are trying to get your new IQOS product approved here, that sort of heated tobacco product. What's your position on raising the age to buy tobacco products to 21?
Well, I think we are very supportive of age limits in every country in the world, and we've, for many years, advocated for increasing age limits or implementing them where they were absent. So we're following very closely and with great interest the regulatory developments in the U.S., and I think that's a very good thing, and the announcement from Walgreens today is also a very welcome development. I think it's even more important as we move into innovative products that are all smoke-free, as you said, and IQOS is one of those, that we are extremely careful that there is no unintended use for these products. They are for adults, and certainly we have to do everything we can to avoid that teenagers take on nicotine use, and at the same time, never smokers, even adults, never come to these products. I think there are three pillars in youth prevention. The first is the age limits, because that's a very important step. The other is strict age verification at the point of sale. And the third is education, and we have to continue. Because so far we've told adolescents that they should not smoke. With the advent of nicotine-containing products, the educational system has also to change and educate that teenagers should not use nicotine products. It's not good for them. Not only it's addictive, Andre, it can have effects on their development. We're fully supportive of this.
What about adults? I mean, yes, teen vaping, teen smoking is a huge problem here, but you're trying to get adults to stop smoking cigarettes and to start using these, what you say are safer products like IQOS, heated, not burned. I read a lot about it. Can you really market that as safer? Is the science and the data there that people should really be switching over?
Absolutely. I think we have the entire scientific evidence in preclinical and clinical trials we have developed around the heated tobacco products marketed today under the name of IQOS outside the U.S. Point to the fact that they're a much better alternative for people who smoke today and they do not quit. Of course, these products are switching products for the people who do not quit, and we're very clear, people who never smoke, they should not start. Now, if we look at what happened in the world, and IQOS is present in 44 markets, first of all, I'm very pleased that in the last quarter, we exceeded a very important benchmark, which is 10 million IQOS users in these 44 markets, and 7.3 million of those people have fully switched to IQOS and quit cigarette. I think that's remarkable, and that shows that the product has the potential to convince people who smoke today to switch out completely.
Last time you were...
We continue our effort everywhere in the world to convince as many of the 1.1 billion people who smoke today to switch.
Last time you were with us, we talked about sort of the existential nature of the combustible cigarette and whether or not it eventually just goes away completely. When it comes to production, how many traditional cigarettes will you manufacture this year versus, I don't know, 3 years ago, 5 years ago?
Well, our volume of cigarettes is declining, and obviously as people, are switching to products like IQOS and other alternative smoke-free products, the volume of cigarettes will decline over time. And I think we stated very clearly that our objective is to eventually have no cigarette sales over time. That's, we are having a portfolio of products that are all smoke-free, and I think they are e-vapor products, as you know, in the US, the heated tobacco products, that I believe have the potential to switch people out of cigarettes, and the real-time data we have from the world is that we're very successful in doing this. So over time, that's what a smoke-free world and vision we have is we will be completely out of the sales of cigarettes. And I think that makes sense from every perspective. Obviously, it makes sense for public health and for the people who smoke themselves, but also makes sense for our shareholders because financially, as these alternative products are not cigarettes, they also benefit from lower excise taxes, so they have better margins. So it's a win-win for everybody, and that's why we all move in this direction. And the faster we move out of cigarettes, the better for all of us.
How do you respond to critics who say this is so hypocritical coming from the world's biggest tobacco company that still profits from selling cigarettes around the world to advocate a non-smoking campaign?
Well, I think the Unsmoke campaign is part of the effort to convince people to switch if they don't quit. I think we're very clear. People should never start, but if they smoke and they don't quit, then they should switch. And that's what the campaign is doing. It's part of the whole transformation effort. I don't think it's hypocritical or deceptive, as I hear very often, because that's the two most used words in the vocabulary of NGOs. If we are hypocritical, we have not invested $6 billion in, developing these products, scientifically assessing them, putting them on the market, commercializing them, and we would have not been spending 60% of our entire marketing and sales budgets behind these products when they represent last year 6% of our sales. So if you call this hypocritical, I think it's an exaggeration of incommensurate dimension.
Is it happening fast enough, for those investors on Wall Street that are looking forward to this transformation and have bought your stock this year on the tremendous growth that you are seeing in these alternative products? How do we know when it actually happens fast enough that that's going to drive the full profit picture for Philip Morris and just completely disrupt the business?
First of all, I think we are moving really fast. Just if we look at the quarter, the growth of our smoke-free products, IQOS, is 35% compared to last year in in-market sales. So the progress is rapid. We're in 44 markets. We are growing in every market. And I think we'll continue the effort. Now, on the other side, clearly we need governments and regulators to help in this effort by adopting the right measures so that people get incentivized to switch to these products if they don't quit. And these measures can be fiscal measures, can be, labeling. And that's why we are advocating FDA type of approach to the regulatory process, because that's the best process to bring products to market in terms of pre-market assessment and post-market surveillance. And I encourage, as the US is the only country in the world that has a full regulatory regime, everybody to submit themselves through this regime, because that's the best guarantee that we maximize switching and minimize unintended